You know the Australian magpie, voice of an angel, claws of a demon, yin and yang birdsonified. But what about their cousins, the Carowong and the butcherbird? With the lack of awareness around them, you'd think they were merely Aldi brand Maggies. A great injustice, methinks. Arguably they're smarter, sneakier, and far more sadistic. The magpie's song is beautiful, but it's not the one studied by classical musicians for its complexity. And when it comes to an urbanisation success story, jaundiced jabberoos are crushing the competition, but not without some ops along the way. Magpies might be the father of Aussie birds, but no holy trinity is complete without the sun and the ghost. Carowongs and butcherbirds both belong to the family Armidale, and more specifically to the subfamily Cracticinae. These are forest-dwelling Aussie birds very distantly related to corvids. There are other members of Armidale, peltops, and wood swallows, known for nectar sucking. Wide-breasted wood swallow, met plenty of them in my time. Oh, Darcy, always bringing down the discourse. Well, call me Pennywise because I'm taking you into the gutter with me. All of the members of Cracticinae bear that same family resemblance, and it can be hard to distinguish between them. But here are some useful tells. The most striking feature for Carowongs are their bright yellow eyes. It's not known exactly why they evolved these amber peepers, but it's likely based on a trait present in other bird species that plays a social role, possibly for signalling or intimidation. Some butcherbird and magpie species look very similar, but the dead giveaway for butchies is their stout shape and the telltale hook on the end of their beaks. We'll get surgical with that later. There are 3 species of Carowong in Australia, and you might be wondering why I'm walking around a cemetery. Short answer, I'm a weirdo. Long answer, it's one of the best places to see our first species, the Pied Currawong. For a reason not entirely known to me, they absolutely froth this graveyard and gather here every sunset like clockwork. Real Tim Burton vibes. Beyond the boneyard, these large passerines are found all along the east coast, from the bum of Victoria to the scalp of Cape York. Now the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed this speck in the ocean. This is Lord Howe Island, home to a subspecies of the Pied Currawong. They're spreading. They have a similar silhouette to the magpie, but Pied Curras have a completely black back, and the aforementioned hefty beak and amber peepers. Above all else, what sets them apart is their call. And the Pied Currawong's song is one of the most beautiful. This pleasant and melodious tune echoes throughout the trees, and on a misty winter's day, it achieves an almost ghostly ethereal sound. Truly a transcendent experience. Surely those other Carowong species have an equally lovely song. Oh, this is the Black Carowong. Black Curras are native to Tasmania. Like all inhabitants of the island state, they're originally from the mainland, but drifted over by mistake, got stuck, and went a bit nuts from isolation and inbreeding. Sorry, Ouija's, had to make the joke. Despite the harshness of their call, this sound is more Taswegian than Cascade, and you gotta respect that. What about that third Curra then? The third and often overlooked member is the Grey Carowong. These unassuming fellas can be found all along the southern coast of the country, and they're the only species you'll see if you live in the great state of WA. The range of these birds extends much further into the arid interior of the continent, resulting in some interesting interactions with outback wildlife.
You picked the wrong house, fool! Hey, hey!
Now the butcherbirds. I have a sin to confess. I lied. And I'll do it again, because I am a flawed human being. In Australia's Most Common Birds Part 1, I said there are only 3 species of butcherbirds in Oz. That was wrong. There's 5, at least. I won't go into all of them in great depth, but there's the pied, grey, black, black-backed, silver-backed, and a few others who mainly live over in Papua New Guinea. Let's zoom in on the 2 most quintessential meat slingers. Pied butcherbirds. Yeah, I know, there's a lot of pied birds in this country.
Ooh, what kind of pies?
Piss off, mate. Pieds are widespread throughout the mainland. Sorry, Tassie. But they're most common of all in Queensland. They prefer drier inland areas, open woodlands, savannas, and sometimes the urban sprawl. Their song is considered to be the most beautiful of all Australian birds, and it's certainly the most complex. The other is the grey butcherbird, the pied's urbanite counterpart. They have similar markings apart from the distinct grey patch, but an easy way to tell them apart is pied executioner mask, grey bandit mask. These more compact lads are again widespread throughout the country, but can be found on our South Island. Their call is simpler and harsher than their brothers, and it has an almost maniacal laughing quality. Hey, no one asked you. Spot on impression though. Let's talk food. The eating habits of these avians range from adorable to downright diabolical. Butcherbirds are predominantly carnivorous and hunt insects, lizards, frogs, small mammals, and even other birds. But what they do next is what gives them their abattoir epithet. When butcherbirds catch their prey, they pin it to a branch or nestle it in a tree fork. And using that little hook I mentioned earlier, a sticky beak becomes a jawtopsy. Bird the Impaler also hangs up uneaten corpses in a similar fashion and comes back to eat the leftovers later. What could be more delicious than dead rat? How about aged dead rat? With Carowongs, it's less black and white, but it's definitely still red. Curras are omnivores and seasonal eaters, denoted by their huge multi-purpose beaks. During the colder months, they consume a ton of fruit and seeds. I'm not in favour of feeding birds, but may my hide be damned to Hades if I don't think curras eating grapes isn't the cutest thing in the world. When spring arrives, the breeding season starts, and the lust for flesh hits. Baby curras need protein to grow healthy and strong, so mum and dad lock in and drop the veggie act. They've developed a bit of a reputation around the country for their eating habits, because like the old fella on your Minecraft server, they're gunning for the kids. Curras love hunting hatchlings, mini miners, wagtails, wrens, you're all equally edible. Despite being very vocal birds, they can go dead silent when they need to, emphasis on the word dead, and their KD ratio ain't nothing to snort at. It's estimated that they turn up to 40 broods of small birds into curra wontons per season. Just call them goldeneye, because they're no-scoping these preteens. And that's not the end of the ordeal either. Curras, much like many owl species, will regurgitate bits they can't digest. Bones, fur, teeth, and seed casings all get coughed up in a clump that looks more like a doom level than a hairball. Two bloodlines, same crime scene. So far I've painted a rather brutal depiction of our friends, but it's not all blood and guts. Scratch the surface and you'll find some of the most intelligent and playful birds in Australia. Both birds are known for their whimsical streaks, especially juveniles seen tossing leaves, play fighting, or dangling upside down together. Grey butcherbirds are quite affectionate. They've been observed cooperating as families, with older siblings and even unrelated birds helping raise the chicks, in a wholesome display of communal parenting. Black butcherbirds up north have demonstrated their intellectual prowess, having passed the cane-toed test. Like many other brainy birds, they're able to flip them over before eating around their poison glands. Back in the 60s, the enterprising Carowongs were up to their usual schemes. Milk used to be delivered door to door in those days. The work was hard, and the shorts were short. Curras, being perceptive creatures, figured out they could peck through the foil on the milk bottles, and the lactose larrikins would have themselves a sip of nipple nectar. As Paul the Apostle once said, smart choice. Pied butcherbirds have some very impressive vocalizations. The mini maestros often sing in duets, triplets, and quartets. This isn't a garbled cacophony either. They have different roles in the ensemble, and a sense of timing. Cobbers out here performing in ornithological orchestras. Their unique woodwind sound has been described as a magic flute, and like Mozart, their note composition is structurally complex, more so than the patron saint of mediocrities. Too harsh. Way too harsh. Imagine hearing what sounds like a classical flutist improvising in a tree, and then realizing it's a bird and his mates on Smoko. That's exactly what happened to Hollis Taylor, a classically trained American violinist, when she stumbled upon a trio of pied butcherbirds on a remote sheep station in WA and fell in love. She then spent over a decade observing them in the wild and transcribing each note as if they were complex jazz solos. But here's the twist. Taylor doesn't just see these birds as subjects, she treats them as fellow composers. Using human instruments, she plays their harmonies exactly as she heard them, translating their wild, improvised songs into human melodies without losing their essence. Hollis's experience isn't purely about music. It's a reminder that creativity isn't just a human trait. And you might think, well, they're just calling out of instinct. But if you look at 4 and 20 sheet music, no two pied calls are exactly the same. Their songs are learned, not innate. And each generation puts a new spin on the old melodies. These have been passed down and amended for millions of years. They even have regional variations. So what we're hearing are remixes upon remixes. It's stereosonic with a birdie symphonic, and it doesn't sound like mindless instinct to me. Despite their deadly effectiveness, Carowongs aren't without their ops. Chief among them is this bird. Despite its gargantuan size, it doesn't kill Carowongs. No, in fact, it finds them far more useful. Alive. This is a channel-billed cuckoo, the largest cuckoo in not just Australia, but the entire world. Being cuckoos, they engage in their typical non-consensual babysitting behaviour, lay an egg in another bird's nest that looks just like the host's, refuse to elaborate, leave, and the host bird is forced to raise your spawn. What's better than government-subsidised childcare? How about no bills at all, except the one that's feeding Junior? The cuckoo baby doesn't boot Carowong chicks out of the nest, but they grow faster and demand more food, in essence starving the little Curras out. I sang the praises of the Carowong's towering intellect mere moments ago, so how can they be fooled by such a deception? Unfortunately, cuckoos have hacked the innate parental response in many birds, including ravens. If a parent bird sees a hungry mouth whinging convincingly, they feed it. Only when the cuckoo grows up is their deception apparent, and by then, the pair bond between mum and Beelzebub has become too strong. Fascinating and disturbing, my favourite combo. Carowongs have developed a bit of a negative reputation in the city. They've landed themselves in that most infamous avian category, arsehole birds. Look at them harassing this poor tawny. It's just straight up bullying. To the tawny's credit, he stood, or rather sat, his ground, and they eventually pissed off. It's a complex issue. Curras in their natural state are forest-dwelling birds, but they're also altitudinal migrators. During the summer, they live in the mountains where it's nice and cool and there's plenty of food, but during the winter, they move into the lowlands to feed on fruits. Urbanisation changed all of this. Opportunistic and street smart, these birds take advantage of fruit trees, compost bins, and handouts from humans. In particular, the fruit of introduced canary date palms and the peppercorn tree, which Curras absolutely froth, have bolstered their numbers. I've got a date with density, while also preying on the eggs and nestlings of smaller birds. Many Curras have stopped migrating entirely. They saw the writing on Hosier's lane and natural living went down the drain. Human habitation provides year-round resources, so why move? Their increasing numbers have raised concerns among ecologists, as studies have linked Carowong population booms with declines of small native bird species, such as thornbills, robins, and fairy wrens. City life also allows them to extend their breeding and therefore hunting season, and those they don't eat, they drive off. They've tipped the ecological balance in their favour, a little too far. And it's for this reason that they've been dubbed the winners of urbanisation. It's easy to place the blame on Carowongs and condemn them. Oh, you're reducing small bird populations. You kill chicks, bro. It's pretty messed up. First of all avians do this. The phrase dog eat dog should really be bird eat bird, with the rate that new dinos send their own brethren 6 tweet under on the reg. But more importantly, can we really condemn a species for taking advantage of a niche that us humans created? We built the cities, we put the food on their plate, and then we got upset when they took it. We sometimes forget that our way of life benefits certain species as much as it's detrimental to others. I certainly can't stay mad at them. Carowongs might be assholes, but they're also very loyal friends. A Carowong in Barrington Tops, New South Wales has been visiting the same property for over 18 years. To see his friend. If that's not love, I don't know what is. I think more than anything, that's what defines the family Armidale. They're as playful as they are brutal, sweet and sour, and we like that. The dynamics, the drama, like a great opera. Can you hear their music? It starts with a butcherbird, a repeating warble, growing louder and graduating into a high-pitched cackle, like the ignition on a rusty AU Falcon. And then, suddenly, high above it, a Carowong, a single bird calling out, unyielding, until a magpie took it over, sweetened it into a phrase of such delight. These weren't the melodies of some trained parrot. This was a music I had never heard before, filled with such longing, such unfulfillable longing. And I knew then that I was hearing the echoes of the divine.
Subscribe.
What's up, guys?